So I was just saying this morning when you came online, you were halfway through a sentence. Do you realise that?
Yes.
It's not as if there was any blank before the bit. You it actually came to life right at the moment you were halfway through a sentence.
I think that's because there's still a wee bit of time lag between it saying I'm live and me actually going live. You know, Charlie Cat. Stop it, you wee shite. Come on, get down. Sorry about that, folks. The cat's having a swipe at me because I was moving about in my chair. Aye. Moving my hand there to get the mouse and that, and he was having a swipe at it. Right, we'll see who's in. Stephen Bankier, Stephen Charlton, Robert the Bruce, Kirsty Hamilton, Pete's Music, Desiree's in, Scott Haynes is in, Ashby Stumbles in, Lorna Shields, Chris Fisher, Francis McKenna, David McDonald, Barbara Lansborough.
There's Barbara. Mother she wrote. Brilliant.
George Docherty's in. And we'll fit him. Neil McLean. Jane's in. Hi, Francis. Right, I think I'll go most of them so far.
Some of them are understood in Restream, right? It's like we've got somebody says good afternoon, David and David, right? Person, turquoise, waving.
Aye. That's because you can't see the super stickers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Right, okay, they are fully explained.
Afternoon, Reagan away, Dodger. Afternoon, Stuart Crockett. Right, David, let's get this underway. Now, as usual, because it's Thursday, we're going to start on First Minister's questions.
Right.
First up, Russell Finlay, as usual, for the Conservative and Unionist Party. And he went on Social Security Scotland. And Sally Donaldson, who was candidate for Edinburgh East, I believe, for the up-and-coming Holyrood election, having to stand down because she's been investigated for benefit fraud by Social Security Scotland.
I appreciate what you're going to say about the amount of these cases coming up that are wrong or incorrect, right? But you see this guy from the Tory party, Finlay, he's just looking for anything he can put on the SNP. His way of thinking is, if I can just get 2 more voters to go, right, bugger it, I'm voting SNP, he's won.
Well, as I say, now John tells him he can't make comment on individual cases, and he will let the benefit section at Social Security Scotland deal with it.
Let me tell you about something like that, right? Really important, and it relates, right? This is a good few years ago, but I got a phone call of my accountant when the company was going, right? David, pay HMRC £1,500 and something pounds. I went, what? I said, I paid everything, right? He said, pay it straight away, don't argue, right? He'd had a communication of HMRC saying that they were going to do all sorts of horrible things to me unless he got this money through straight away, right? It turns out it's a load of bunkum, right? They charged me an additional 10 quid, right, for the pleasure of that, right?
Uh-huh.
And then after it was done, after I found out that it was just load nonsense and a big mistake, they sent it back. They sent it back 1,526. And I says to God, my accountant at the time, God rest him, he's dead now. But I said to him at the time, I said, what did they do with the extra 10 pounds? He said, forget it. He said, they've lost that. Right, there you are. So there you go. All right. That's institutions and how they actually deal with people, right?
Well, as I say, John tells him that the benefit section at Social Security Scotland will deal with it.
Yep.
And he can't comment on individual cases. he also tells him he believes that the robust systems. Christ. He believes the systems are robust. And of course, if they're investigating this lassie for fraud, then obviously it's working, or something's working. And as you were absolutely correct, David, the majority of these cases are dismissed. They're normally actually government agency error.
Yeah, it can be wrongly input, a wrong input somewhere along. But at the end of the day, don't forget, it's not 100% automatic. At some point, somebody has to agree with the amount of money to be paid, or money to be paid back, or whatever, right? And at that point, it's a manual human input. And at that point, well, there you go. Hey,
Right.
we know what happens with automatic systems. We saw the post offices.
Right, next up.
You know, at the end of the day, getting accused, and there's nothing to do with it. So anyway, right, carry on, sorry.
Next up was Anna Sarwar. He was back on the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, and the fact that there had been an infection alert there in Ward 4B. He was claiming the whole facility is unsafe. Now, John tells him there was an amber alert, it was up to red, so a section of the ward was shut for cleaning. But David, you and I had a look. Now, folks have spoken about this before. Hospital-borne infections are very, very common.
Well, in this particular case, it was to do with bone marrow, right?
Yep.
And anybody that's dealing with bone marrow with a recipient, right, their immune system is as low as it goes, right?
Yep, it's organized.
Anytime you've got something which is where a hospital, there's a risk of hospital infection, and someone somewhere feels, well, yeah, this is borderline, they get the place deep cleaned. Something like that.
And that's what's happened here. The other thing is, it was a risk of infection.
Yeah, that's right. And somebody like Anna Sarwar will go, oh, that's awful, right? Okay, this is more stuff we can hit the SNP. Yet again, he's looking to take another 2 votes off supporters, right?
Folks, if you actually go to the effort of finding out, hospital-borne infections are common in hospitals across these lands.
Yeah. Now, let me just interject there, right? Okay. Several hospital wards in England have been closed due to infections recently, particularly driven by a surge in norovirus, the winter vomiting bug, and other respiratory infections during the 25-26 winter season. It was still in, right? Okay. So really, when you look at that, I mean, I've got a list of hospitals here. I'm not going to go into them. I really don't. Don't need to.
Over the last couple of months in Scotland, we've seen hospital ward closures and closures, and the Belfort Hospital and Moray, Elgin.
Yeah.
We've had them in Dumfries and Galloway's Royal Hospital, where it actually stopped any more admissions for that period of time. And we have recently seen them also at the Queen Elizabeth University.
Okay, let me just go on from that you've done there, right? Where Suffolk Hospital, specifically F3 and F9 wards, have experienced closures of new admissions due to outbreaks of norovirus, right? Then we've got Kingsmill Hospital, Nottinghamshire. Multiple wards were closed during the norovirus outbreak, with over 30 patients identified as contacts and several testing positive. Surrey and Kent trusts several hospitals, including East Surrey Hospital and those in Surrey, Heartlands, East Kent area, report ward closures due to a surge in norovirus and flu. Could go on. Yeah, it's that time of year.
Well, in Dumfries and Galloway, David, for example, it wasn't a norovirus, it was flu.
Do I know something? See if I could see that idiot Sarwar face to face. I wouldn't slap him across the face. I'd slap him with this. I'd go, don't you fucking understand that hospitals do have systems whereby if there's an infection risk...
So what he doesn't understand, David, is that we, the people, understand that, and he's treating us like fucking idiots.
Yes, I know, that's right.
How long did it take us to gather this information we've just given out? About 3 minutes? 4 minutes?
was listening to that, David, actually speaking on the telephone.
Aye, and I tapped into my keyboard for the Scottish hospitals.
I thought you were hammering a nail into the wall, but anyway, that's
just the way I type with my one finger. There's no elegant grace about it, you know. I'm a bloody truck driver. I'm not a typist.
See, at the end of the day, that keyboard must have go, thank fuck for that.
I could see about 3 of them a year. I keep fucking them. Busting all the wee springs under the keys.
Am I surprised? No. Right.
And Francis McKenna's father-in-law caught a viral infection in the Royal too, but they sorted it for him. It's not as common as it used to be, but Christ, it is common, especially in the winter.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the Belford Hospital in Elgin had 3 wards closed because of norovirus. The Dumfries and Galloway Hospital had to stop admissions and have everybody else put masks back on again because of flu infection. So this stuff is nonsense, folks, and you're being treated like a fucking idiot by this guy, Sarwar.
Yeah.
And
he thinks he's being clever. He thinks he's picking up extra voters for Labour by saying things like this.
Stupidest question of the day, David, at First Ministers. The award goes to Ross Greer.
Going in, what did Ross say? As if I need to ask you, but I'm asking on behalf of
Ross asked John Swinney to kick the Americans out of Prestwick Airport.
Hang on, I've got some money here. It's not often I've got money because generally I pay for it on my phone because I don't go out much, right? But I'll tell you what, I'll buy Ross Greer a brand new shiny pitchfork and you can get on with the job.
But let's get down to why it was the stupidest question of the day.
Yeah, go on then.
Defence is reserved.
Exactly. Ross Greer knows that.
Yes, he does.
But the most important thing is Ross Greer thinks the rest of us don't know that. That's the point.
No, I think what Ross was doing was pointing out that John didn't have the power.
No. But apart from that, I think he's also pointing out the fact that you lot don't know.
No, as I say, but
it's a two-edged sword. He's on one side, he's saying, to show that the SNP don't have the power, right? That's
the people of Scotland.
Those that don't realise that the SNP government at Holyrood is a reserved matter, and therefore he's trying to make out that John Swinney just is not doing anything, and he should be. Fucked if we do, fucked if we don't.
I think what he was doing was poking a wee bit of fun at John and letting the Scottish people know at the same time these are the restrictions of devolution. That's what would have been in his mind. The rest of us just looked at him and said, "Are you fucking stupid?"
Yeah, I think Ross Greer is sailing. What's the phrase? 2 sheets to the wind. He basically, at the end of the day, he is doing things like this. It's again the SNP. If we end up as a minority government again, are we going to go to the Greens as our partner? We end up going to Lib Dem.
Maybe John will get busy and get back to the Tories way Alec did.
Oh, Ross, these yours. Oh, sorry.
I mean, maybe John will take dizzy. Partner up with the Tories way Alec did. No. The Parliament's been open a long time now, and parties have moved position in that time, David.
Yeah.
You and I know that with the SNP moving from right of centre to left of centre.
I can't imagine the SNP ever doing a tally up with Tories.
I'm relying on Annabelle Goldie to get his budgets through.
Stage right. Who's that? Oh, it's Boris. Boris is coming to join the Scottish Parliament. Wow, what the heck?
David, history tells us that the SNP, and particularly Alex Salmond, used to team up with Annabelle Goldie and the Tories to get his budgets through. These are facts.
And this is the Australian News Broadcasting Service. it's just been found out that Boris Johnson is joining Holyrood to join the
Don't
SNP.
push the boot and get back here, you.
No worries, mate.
As I say, it's all fact. You can look it up. Annabelle Goldie helped Alex Salmon get his budgets through. The Tartan Tories and the Tories in the third Scottish executive, when it was a minority government with Alex Salmond, every one of his budgets went through with Annabelle Goldie's approval.
Annabelle Goldie. I remember Annabelle, and I actually used to have a wee bit of respect for the woman because she used to always come out with sensible stuff.
Yes.
Now this lot, this crop of Tories that we've had for ever such a long time, they're nutters. I'm sorry.
Since Annabelle gave up the job
That's
as leader, well, with a string of fucking half-wits, one after another. I think the worst one was probably Car Crash.
Yeah. Jackson Carlo. Yeah.
Jackson Carlo, I think he was probably the worst of them all. Jesus.
Oh, he's still hiding out at Newton Mearns.
Aye, he's in trouble in moment, isn't he?
Yeah. So a majority of just over 2,000, and it looks like, well, they're not going to have an easy time, are they? Right, anyway.
Right, of course, the big story here in Scotland and right across these islands is that there's been 3 people associated with the Labour Party arrested for assisting a foreign secret service, if you like, intelligence service. Okay. Now, one of them, of course, was a hobby of East Kilbride and Strathaven MP. Reid, her name is. Laurie Reid or something like that.
Ginny Reid?
Joni Reid, her name is, that's it. Anyway, her husband, David Taylor, was arrested in London.
Yeah.
Along with Matthew Appin and James.
The difficulty is, in a situation like this, you've just got to take people's word for it that they were saying the wrong things to the wrong people, right? And you've got to accept that.
Well, we don't know the specifics of what they've been charged with, if anything. We do know that all 3 have been bailed. There's been no bail conditions made public. Whether there was any or not, we don't know. But Joni Reid herself said that her and her children were not involved in her husband's business, and she'd seen no behaviour to make her think he was doing anything illegal. Now, Anna Sarwar was questioned about this last night, and he was asked if she should be removed from her role on the Home Affairs Select Committee and suspended from the party while this case unfolds. Anna said it had been referred to the party's governance and legal departments. So Labour are taking it serious.
I'll tell you what, it must be that busy legal.
The Home Office will know the extent of the charges that have been laid upon these men. We're
going to give you a hard time. What, you send me to prison? No, we're going to send you to work with the.
Anyway, the other thing Anna tells
legal division.
The other thing that Anna tells the press is the decision on whether she'll be suspended and whether she should walk away from her role in the Home Affairs Select Committee will be made today. As of yet, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything. And Solari, if you're in the comments, I'll phone you after the show. I'm sorry, I know I meant to phone you between 12 and 2, but as usual, when I picked a wife up at 11:30, she had other ideas.
Kirsty Hamilton brought back really nice things. She said, blue tents?
Kirsty, you naughty step for encouraging that BAM. Enough of that behaviour.
Hey, seriously, Blacks and Greenock, we need to get them reset up again and working just to produce blue tents. The amount of blue tents that's needed in this country is unbelievable, right?
Well, apparently properties were searched in London, East Kilbride and Cardiff.
Hey.
2 of the men arrested, Appin and Jones, appropriately Stephen Jones, in Wales. Were arrested in Wales. As I say, that's all the information we have.
Yeah.
The other thing that Joni Reid asked was that the press leave her and her children alone, as she is not privy to her husband's business activities.
Stephen Bankier says blue tents, dogs, no sorts reserved for SNP.
Well, as I say, properties were searched in East Kilbride, London, and Cardiff. That's all the information we've got, folks. But it's the optics of it. I mean, Labour are already on Skid Row. They're polling dreadfully. Even the Greens have overtaken them in England to be second place to Reform in the latest YouGov poll. And this isn't going to help that these party heavyweights, one an MP's husband, one an ex-communication officer, and one an ex-advisor to the chief whip, are all involved in a potential espionage ring. It doesn't bode well for Starmer. It doesn't bode well for Sarwar, because this is an issue of national security, of course, and it'll be taken very, very seriously.
Yeah, I don't know what it takes to actually get involved in espionage of that sort, right? With the giving away government secrets, as in what's going to happen, what Keir Starmer's going to do next, or is it to do with maybe something that's been developed by a particular company? Yeah, is it economic, that sort of thing? At the end of the day, it could be anything, couldn't it? Charlie Chan walks into the bar and says, "Hey guys, how you doing? What you having to drink?" And they're like, lager. I'll have a sweet wine if you don't mind. That's right. You're all done for women talking to an enemy. It's as simple as that, giving away secrets like that.
Well, as I say, we don't know what it is specifically they're being charged with. The roundabout thing they're telling us that they are being charged with assisting a foreign intelligence agency. Yeah. What information they were giving them, where they were getting it from, whether it was industrial, whether it was a national security. None of that information is available to us, David.
Yeah, don't know. Right.
The other thing that is interesting, though, is no bail conditions have been declared. So they've just been let go with no restrictions.
Well, of course, they have two choices. Either put them in remand, wait until they run a proper court case over it,
or bail them with restrictions.
Or bail them with restrictions, yeah. So was that, yeah.
Well, apparently they've been bailed without restrictions because there's been no bail restrictions announced. They should have taken their passports away and things like that, David.
That's right.
Basic restrictions.
You imagine getting out of court if you really were into espionage with China, right? Although is that British Airways? So you got any flights going to China?
Aye. So Larry, I'm glad you popped in. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to phone you this afternoon as planned. I'm afraid something came up. I'll phone you a wee bit later if you don't mind. I'll send you a text message. You let me know if it's all right to phone you. Right then, let's move on, David. For spies. Reds under the bed, being assisted by red Tories. It's quite interesting. Right, teachers in Scotland have voted to go on strike, apparently. The EIS union held a ballot on working terms and conditions, and the sticking point is they want 90 minutes taken away from FaceTime with teachers and pupils so that teachers can prepare lesson plans and mark work, meaning do these things at school rather than do it in their free time at home. The EIS says that teachers doing lesson plans and marking work at home is unpaid labour.
I disagree. And it comes down to this thing of, are you paid hourly or are you a salaried worker, right? If you're paid by the hour, then each hour that you work should get paid, right? Yeah. If you're a salaried worker, which means that they go, right, we're going to give you £30,000 a year, you could be working 23 hours out of a 24-hour day, and they'd still pay you the same as if you worked 3 hours out of a 24-hour period, right?
Yep.
Now, so, okay, next thing is, I hate having to go to teachers. The teachers are an amazing lot.
Yep.
Do we really need this? We've got in-service days that the teachers have, right? All kinds of things whereby the amount of holidays that a teacher gets compared to people that are to other professions, right? So at the end of the day, don't you think the teachers have got a pretty good deal? As long as their wages are kept up, that's all I'm interested in.
I don't work in the industry, David. I couldn't really say, but what I will say is, traditionally, for as long as when I was in education, traditionally, the teacher took the books home and marked them at home.
That's right.
In fact, we had a teacher who used to run a wee weekend club with our man who did football and things like that. Our man would take us out to the park to play football, and as we were leaving, she'd be sat at the kitchen table with all her drawers stacked up.
Yep.
You know, that just seemed to be how teaching was done.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you get right into the labour rights, technically it is unpaid labour.
It isn't, because they're salaried.
Correct, David. See, I'm in a similar situation to teachers. I'm salaried.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like you have to work out in your mind whether somebody is working for an hourly rate, so they get paid the hourly rate, and anything over the top that becomes overtime, which becomes negotiable. Do I get time and a quarter, time and a half, double time, whatever, right? But those people that are salaried, they end up with that salary at the end of the.
The thing is, David, when you're salaried the way we are, teachers, me, then it's specific in your contract what you're going to get paid.
Yeah, that's it. So
I mean, I happen to have a favourable. I happen to have a favourable contract because I've got a full-time contract with X amount of hours, and it doesn't matter how many I work, which is generally at least half that amount, then I still get paid that amount.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paid for a full working week, which is 37, 40 hours. In my case, 40 hours. In Sarah's case, 37 hours.
Yeah.
And I've got a fixed pay for that amount, but I only work 20 to 22 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how the teachers' deals are, whether it's set on an X amount of hours a week or whether it's just contract conditions. I don't know.
I would say unless they change their contracts to where they're paid hourly, you know, so
as I say, I don't know how their contracts are worded. It's all down to contract agreement, isn't it?
Yeah.
My agreement with my particular company is they'll pay me 40 hours a week whether I work it or no.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, simple as that.
So at the end of the day, if you end up working 40 hours,
that happens now and again. Nobody
emphasis on hard graft, but you do realise that that's what they paid you for. You know,
as I say, that happens now and again. A day I have to work 40 hours. It doesn't help often, but sometimes a day.
Yeah.
I average about half that, but that's beside the point. That's the agreement, and that's the whole point.
Kirsty comes over you a nice one there. I'm sure most people have had to work extra hours without extra pay. But I remember we used to get Christmas bonuses.
That's
right. Right.
As I say, I don't.
It's had a Christmas bonus.
Anyway, what it is, they want their working week reduced by 90 minutes, or is it their daily? By 90 minutes, so that they can do this work in the school premises rather than take it home.
Yeah.
And that's the argument that the EIS has with the councils and the government indirectly. But
do any of you remember being in school in front of the teacher? You sat there and the teacher says, right, okay, get your books out, children, and please read from chapter 5. And I'll be back with you shortly. What does the teacher do then?
Get in the back room and mark the books.
That's right, dead right.
So or does it plan for the next session?
Yeah, in front of the classroom. You actually see the desk that's at the front of the desk. Suddenly, there's a pile of jobs that come out, and the teacher's working their way through.
As I say,
end story.
I don't know what's in their contract. They want their hours in front of pupils reduced by 90 minutes. So 1.5
Well,
hours.
to be honest with you, it's not a group of people I like taking issue with. I really don't, because in their hands are our children. Keep us all. I know that children are our future, right? But seriously, if that's the situation, if they really are the progenitors of our next generation or our future generations,
No, AI is that.
now they should be.
I know it should be, but they will be replaced by artificial intelligence. And Stephen, nobody's arguing fair wage for a day's work. It's you see, I don't know what's in their contract.
Yeah,
I don't. They own whether teachers should be able to mark and do lesson plans during the working day, or whether the day after. That's a question for the unions. I'm just saying traditionally, they always took it home, what they couldn't achieve during the day. As David pointed out how they used to achieve it during the day. They would take a time out to mark your books while they give you a certain section of text to read.
yeah, that's right.
But as I say, I don't know how they do things now. I don't know how they prepare their lesson plans. I didn't really know when I was at school. I'm not a teacher. I'm a driver. But as I say, I'm only explaining to you that they voted to go on strike. So there could be a lot of time you're going to have to spend with the little darlings because mum and dad will need to go to work while grandparents will pick up the slack.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be done.
Right, okay. Let's go with that. Let's go next.
Right, okay. Ferguson Marine has had its future preserved, or because the Scottish Government has decided to directly give it the contract to build 4 boats, 2 ferries, a marine scientific vehicle, and a marine protections vessel.
The marine scientific
Vessel.
Vessel will be interesting, very interesting to work on.
But, and a marine protection vessel. So that's 4. That should keep them going for a few years and prove their commercial viability, provided they can do these contracts in the time allocated and at the cost allocated, you know.
The way I look at it is, if a shipbuilder can manage a marine scientific vessel with everything that is going to be attached to that vehicle, if you like.
I don't know. I don't know whether it would just be built there and fitted in somewhere else.
Scientific vehicle, vessel, right. And that stuff that they've got actually on board, connected to that boat, the way it works is like over the top. And if Ferguson's, they can build anything.
Ferguson's are going to build the vessel. That doesn't mean they're going to fit it out.
They'll still be involved in all the cabling and everything that goes with it.
Aye, but I mean, it could go out there just as a simple vessel and go elsewhere to get the equipment done.
It could be very, very complex.
See, I don't know. I really don't. But I know it's good news for the people who are there. And Grangemouth and Port Glasgow.
Yeah. And
there was also good news for the people round the corner in Ardrossan, just a wee bit further round the coast. Because Ardrossan Harbour, a deal to buy it off Appeal Ports, has now been completed by CMAL. And to let you understand, folks, in case you don't understand how this works, CMAL, Caledonia McBrain, who run the ports and the ferries, are actually an arm's length company which belongs to the Scottish Government.
And therefore belongs to
the people.
That's it.
It belongs to the people. Now, Fiona Hislop, when announced this, said it will secure Aaron's Ardrossan's future to serve as Mill and Aaron. So the port needs a big upgrade. So the sailings will continue to go from Troon at the moment, Largs at the moment, until this upgrade's been done.
Ring. Who's that? Donald who? Oh, it's you, Mr. President. What's it you wanted? You're going to take that Ardrossan Harbour off our hands to actually, so we can actually service all the boats for the US Navy. All right, okay. Bye.
David, you obviously haven't been to Ardrossan Harbour.
When I know what you do is like, so shut
up. Anyway, folks, the plan for the harbour upgrade is already out there. You'll find it in the Scottish Government website. Yeah. In fact, I think we had I think we had it up in one programme actually.
Yes. Well, there was one bit of it where I looked at it and I thought, nah, it's going to be a bit difficult. There's bits of it that looks difficult. It's maybe just drawn the wrong way around. It doesn't fit. Yeah, it doesn't fit what they've got now. Anyway.
But so that's some right good news.
Yes, it is. It is
some
actually
really good news.
It's particularly good news for the people of Arran.
I know.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a good news for the people of Ardrossan and the people who work in Ferguson shipyards. Their future is preserved for the time being.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about the Scottish Government awarding these 2 small ferry contracts to Ferguson is they really need to prove that they are commercially viable. So Ferguson's will be under an awful lot of pressure to produce these vessels on time and on budget, because eventually that yard's going to stand on its own 2 feet.
That's right.
It will get government contracts, but it needs to be able to work commercially as well. So it has. So right. That's like a great news story, and it's secured a fair bit of work in these areas because the new harbour's going to be built. And of course, these boats have got to be built. So that'll keep the economies in these areas ticking over quite nicely for the next wee while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very important. Okay. And last but not least, folks, we're back on council tax. Because it's that time of year again where we give you the rundown of what the councils have declared.
Please just carry on. Give them the pain. Go on.
Aye. What councils have declared and by how much. All right. Let's get
Sorry, guys. Don't take this any reflection on the Two Davies. We don't shoot the piano player. We are
making people aware of how much potentially how much they're going to have to pay on their council tax next year. It's best for them to be prepared. Right, council area, Aberdeenshire 10%, Moray 10%, Argyll and Bute 9.7%, Midlothian 9%, Stirling 8.75%, Dumfries and Galloway 8.5%, North Ayrshire 8.5%, Scottish Borders 8.5%, Western Isles 8.5%, Western Barton 7.8%, East Lothian 7.5%, Renfrew 7.5%, West Lothian 7.4%, Shetlands 7.3%, North Lanarkshire 7%. Now we started annoying the numbers. South Lanarkshire 6.5%, Glasgow City 5.9%, Fife 5%, and Edinburgh City 4%. So that's all the councils that are declared so far, folks. Probably by the end of next week, we'll go to you the full 32, and you'll know how much harder you're going to be hit on your council tax. But David and I were talking about this prior to coming on the show, because it's something we've done every year since we started to basically tell you what they have been. But we're looking at some of these increases being sore ones. And I have to remind David, there was an 11-year freeze, meaning we're still an average of £600, £700, £800 to £1,000 in some cases cheaper than what you'd be if you were just the other side of the border. But it doesn't take away from the fact, and David's point is, that's a sore one for a lot of people who are already on the edge of their incomes.
You know, the crisis, the cost of living crisis, is a cost of living crisis.
Yep.
It's not just words, it's actual crisis. It means that people are going, I can't afford this. I can't afford to pay for my heating. I can't afford to pay for electricity. I can't afford to pay for my food. I can't afford to pay for my rent. Can't afford to pay for this. And then what's going to happen is the council are going to put on them, when they're in their bed, not doing anything, they're going to add another bill to them, which they can't afford either.
Well, man,
we all live in cloud cuckoo land, because it seems to me we all are.
Oh, as I say, my annual bill, I think, will go up by £86.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I can absorb that. There will be people out there who can't.
I tell you what, there'll be a huge number of people that out there that just go, it might as well be £86,000.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't make any difference.
No, can't I disagree with that. But as I say, these are all the council areas I've declared. I think I'll tell you how many is declared so far.
Stephen, that is entirely your homework for tonight. How many are Lib Dem, Labour, Conservative coalitions? You're going to find that out for us, and you're going to tell me and David, because we need a hand on things like this. All right?
Right, 20 of the 32 councils have declared. So there's only 12 more to declare.
Yeah.
And we'll keep an eye on it, folks, and let you know. Because these are the things that normally feature in the press, but there's bigger fish to fry at the moment. So, whereas a couple of years ago, after the referendum, council tax rises were a major issue. Apparently, they're not today. Because there's bigger issues worldwide at the moment, which is taking up the press time.
Well, now, you can imagine it's like a lot of these councillors would sit there and go, what's the best time to introduce this piece of information? It's just when everybody's looking the other direction.
And you're right, Stephen, petrol prices are on the way up.
I've got a really, really important one, Stephen. New Grangemouth. What happens then when we're having to import all our petrol and diesel and it's not getting picked up in Grangemouth to go to petrol stations? What happens then? Do we make it whereby if there's a shortage in fuel and petrol and diesel in England, that Scotland gets hit first? I can imagine we do.
Yes. And you talk about prices going up, petrol prices going up, and what's happened in the Middle East will drive inflation.
Yeah.
Inflation was settling down, but what's happened in the Middle East will drive inflation, and that's why when we get to the spring statement, it's a lot of push. But first up, we're going to talk about the Home Office and Shabana Mahmood's latest scheme to offer failed asylum-seeking families up to $40,000 to get on a plane and go away. Now, the idea is that they will offer failed asylum families up to £10,000 per person to bugger off.
If you are genuinely someone that is in fear for their life and they've run away from the country of their origin, and you are faced with such an offer where somebody says to you, we're going to give you £40,000 per person, they'd probably go, no, no thanks, we'll stay here.
Right, that's important. Thanks for that, Graham. Perth apparently agreed a 2-year deal last year, so it won't be a big announcement. The Perth rate will be 9.8% council tax rise this year, and the budget for Perth and Kinross Council has already been passed. Thank you.
So, as I was saying about the asylum seekers, somebody that's in genuine fear for their life, they won't go.
No, they're not going to accept 40 grand to go back to somewhere they're going to die.
We did have a look at some of the other European nations, and to be honest with you, they are being as horrible to asylum seekers as any other country. You know, the Netherlands, you think, would be the best of the best. They're sending people to Uganda.
Aye.
You know, it's crazy, it's crackers, it really is.
Well, as I say, that's the Home Office's latest scheme. Apparently, it will cost, they'll target 150 families a year who are in government-funded accommodation. And if they're successful in giving these families 40 grand a head to get to fuck, apparently they'll save 20 million a year on associated costs with these particular 150 families.
Good question is, why is it these people come to the UK when perhaps they could have literally just moved to the country next to them, first point of contact where it's safe, right? And to be honest with you, it's like if you imagine personally that something was happening to Scotland where what was happening was people were getting picked up and hung, right? Or shot or whatever, right? And you've been talking to your friend in another country and go, this is dreadful, right? And that person in the other country says, just get yourself here and we'll look after you, right? Now imagine that that's someone in Syria and they're talking to somebody in Manchester, for example, right?
Small
And
world.
the person in Manchester saying, just get yourself here, we'll take care of you, right? So the person ends up as an asylum seeker, right? At the end of the day, that's the reason why some people are bypassing all these different countries and coming directly to, right? People do talk to each other. Of course they do. People have relatives in all parts of the world. Just because it hasn't happened to you and Mr. and Mrs. Scotland yet doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's all. You're welcome to rant away all you want, dear boy.
Yeah.
Maybe get your rhythm going a wee bit more, but that wasn't bad.
Okay.
Right, let's move on. Let's move on to the autumn state, the spring statement. I do apologise.
We obviously apologised that much. He went blank for a minute or two.
Aye. Anyway, it was pretty upbeat. It was bollocks, but it was pretty upbeat.
Our tea lady never does anything upbeat.
Oh, she did. Oh, aye.
You can even hear the way that trolley gets bashed off doors and walls before it gets to us. She's not a happy, upbeat person.
No, but she was a wee bit more upbeat, and she was talking about even though the OBR had downgraded growth for this year, there was return to growth in 27-28 up to 1.8% of GDP. Heard it. A lot of usual nonsense, and waxing lyrical about inflation being low and interest rates being low when we know there's a world fucking out there which is just about to slow right down because of the states of what is it, Hamas and Hormuz, and fuel prices are about to go through the roof, electricity prices are about to go through the fucking roof. But hey ho, she was optimistic, and
hold on, and it's getting darker. Alexa, lunch lights on.
The other thing was, it's still all this nonsense about growth. Grow where? Grow into what? Absolutely bonkers. But she sounded about upbeat.
When did this spring statement? When was it done?
A couple of days ago.
Right. Are we talking about before the attack on Iran? Or are we talking about during the attack on Iran, or after the attack on Iran?
After.
Right. So therefore, here we have somebody that's high up in the Labour government, where the talk of the steamy is the attack on Iran, the closure of the Straits of Hormuz, knowing that everybody in the
David, that was the caveat to the spring statement.
Yeah, it's saying to her, hey, inflation is going to go through the roof, and it's going to be all daft and the rest of it, and you're putting this Jack and Norrie, little children today will watch it through the arch window. There you go.
Well, anyway, David, at the end of her statement, she tacked on that these figures and projections came out before recent turmoil.
Why say them? Why mention it? It's because it sounds good. Is that why?
No.
Come on.
Statement now in an autumn budget. So
that was before Iran and Israel. So Israel and the big attack dog, the USA, hit Iran, right? After it, you've got to see yourself, what idiot, what Egypt would possibly put out a good news statement.
It was scheduled to go ahead, and it wasn't a good news statement. It was an optimistic statement.
It doesn't matter. Optimistic and good news go hand in hand.
She made it quite clear that there'd be no growth in 2026.
Without a fucking paddle is what really is happening right now. Seriously.
As I say, She was pretty upbeat, but the caveat at the end it was current world circumstances could change that.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's like I just find things like this laughable.
Young Reagan, you're absolutely correct. But it was scheduled to go ahead. It went ahead. It should have been, sorry, we'll put that back on the shelf and come back in a couple of months when we see what the effects of this are on our economy. But that's not what happened.
I'll give you
I'll
give you a question that perhaps you of anybody here can answer. David, what happens if this country goes to war? Does Scotland still have an election?
No.
Say again?
No, there won't be an election.
So what happens? Who says?
We'll get emergency powers, emergency procedures, and the existing government will stay in place until the emergency is over.
No, we're not talking about the UK government, Westminster election. We're talking about the Scottish election.
Aye, I'm so mad. Everything will be halted.
Right.
There'll be a government of unity. The administrations that are in place right now will stay in place. And that'll be it until the emergency is over. And this is actually what the spring statement had to say. Breaking news, things are going to get worse, but I feel better.
I feel good.
Price of petrol, well, I don't know where you are, Stephen Kelly, but the price of petrol went up by a penny overnight where I live. But we won't know, we won't see the real effect come through for a while yet. Now, Trump says
the interesting question of the day. Gas and electricity, we're always told by the gas and electricity vendors that they do an agreement to buy gas or buy electricity in blocks 3 months, every 3 months. Yeah, right?
In advance, that's right, supposedly.
Yeah. So how come we can have something like this happens and all of a sudden it shoots up when the 3 months was only just a week before last?
Well, you need to ask them now.
Exactly. What happens is, in reality, is they just charge you what they can get away with.
That's right.
Simple as that. And if there's a war and you've had enough bad news thrown at you, oh, this is dreadful, we're going to be paying extra, then don't worry. All the big electricity and gas suppliers will be happy to oblige. They will put they'll put a bill so far up your arse, you'll forget how to fucking read. Simple as that, right?
Aye. But as I say, the spring statement, it was a stupid thing to do, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
The events in Iran had predated the spring statement by a couple of days, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite clear that is going to have an impact on the energy markets worldwide.
Yeah.
As 12% of the world oil flows through the Straits, and it could also collapse the economy of places like Saudi Arabia, because 60% of their exports go through the Straits.
Well, without going too far on it, the thunder of your statement there, or the third line of your statement, isn't Trump going to be making a bit of money out of protectionism?
He's trying to run a protection riot in the States side.
We like what you're doing, but what we're going to do is, we are going to make it whereby money, we will escort you out of the streets of Hormuz and you'll be quite safe. Lots of boats, lots of battleships, lots of aircraft carriers round about you. You'll be safe as Bank of America. You watch this, right? It's cheap, honestly.
He's trying to run a protection racket so ships will go through that strait.
Yeah.
Because the Arab states are not happy. They're not happy in many fronts. Their economies are taking a kicking because of Trump's behaviour. But more importantly, they're getting bombarded by Iran using, as you pointed out, their cheapest, slowest shite that's still going to get an interceptor, Patriot missile set up. And now America is struggling to replenish its allies in the Middle East air defences.
So, therefore, the best idea is they can all see that what's happening is that Iran's hitting the American bases round about. The quickest way to get Iran to stop doing what they're doing in terms of that is for each of these countries individually to take issue with the American bases and run them out of town. Something like that. Yeah, you look. There's two ways of looking at things. That's another way of looking at it, right? In actual fact, there's a lot of situations where the American personnel are going. They're off-ski. And we've seen that in Dubai. In Dubai, they were leasing sections of hotels. You know that those hotels that are being hit badly. At the end of the day, the American
Americans
service people are just going, right, bye-bye.
Well, obviously, he's trying to run a protection racket.
Yeah.
Then he can get these boats through safely. No, he can't.
Yeah.
And I say at the same time.
You imagine, let's look at how the Straits of Hormuz were closed in the first place, right? It's not according to news outlets like Sky that keep on showing you this thing of Straits of Hormuz right now. Say it's right now, and it shows the boats going to and fro, right?
Right.
Load of nonsense, absolute load of nonsense, right? What they do is Iran, the Republican Guard, put out a statement saying the Straits of Hormuz is now closed on the ship-wide radio, right? It's now closed. Anybody attempting to do that will be fired upon by the Iranian government, by Iran, right? So what they do is all the boats hold back. One captain goes, "Oh, fuck it, we're going," right? So that boat decides to do the route along the Straits of Hormuz, and what happens next? They get hit. The moment that happens, all the insurance companies that have been watching that deal with ship insurances will immediately put out a statement that says, do not travel the Straits of Hormuz, same as it is with the Suez Canal, right? Because you will be attacked and we will not cover you under your policy.
That's why Trump's trying to run a protection racket.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It won't work because at the end of the day,
who's arguing with you, David?
At the end of the day, Iran are going to go, right, you want to really challenge us?
Anyway, Iran's tactic of hitting the countries that host Americans and depleting their air defences, knowing that America can't keep up, supply Israel and all the rest of them in the Middle East, it's working. Tactically, it's working.
If you've got 200 missiles coming towards you at whatever speed, don't forget they now have the hypersonic missiles.
Make it
right? Now, if you've got them coming at whatever speed, if there's 200 of them, you no defence is going to deal with that. A few of them are still going to get through.
But as I say, the reason why they've been throwing their cheap shit, the old stuff, is to deplete the air defence systems of these countries, knowing that America can't continue to supply.
What's really funny is America is pinching the Patriot systems from South Korea, right? And South Korea are looking towards the North Koreans, and the North Koreans are going, right, okay, is it going to be a square going?
But yeah, DJ, doesn't matter what you thought of the Iranian regime, you're right, Iran are the victims here. And before we go, I'm going to give you the death toll so far. I don't have the Israeli death toll, but American service persons, 7.
No, the national figure I heard was 750.
7.
No, 7 is what is being put out by all and sundry, by the mainstream media. 750 is what the actual tally is.
Until the White House says otherwise, or the Pentagon says otherwise. 7.
As normal, I appreciate what you're saying, David, but at the same time, 750.
We'll stick to what's in the
The Iranian one, the Iranian death toll is 1,600 and something. I forget what it is exactly.
Well, according to this morning's dispatches, it's 1,000.
Yeah. Are people in danger of downplaying this? I think they are.
Will there be more than 7 deaths? Of course. It'll take a while for them to filter through. The families and all that have got to be dealt first.
I mean, a friend of mine online was actually saying that a friend of hers, it's been all around the world, and they say that Iran, the attack on Iran, it's not illegal because Iran asked for help, given the implication that it was the people of Iran that said, "Oh no, we need help," right? And I just went, "Well, let's take that apart. Who in Iran asked for help? Did they have a referendum? No. Who did they ask? Was it Trump and Netanyahu? Right?
Yes,
I tell you what, see in Scotland, see if I go out the back door and I go, Mr. Netanyahu, Mr. Trump, will you come and help us? Start bombing the hell out of the UK. And it's like, are we going to like who they're going to leave in charge? I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Nathan's telling us there's now it's now been officially declared that there are 8 American victims. When I checked this morning, it was 7.
Well, I saw more than 8 the coffins covered with the stars and stripes coming off an airplane.
Well, we're going to stick to what dispatches says here because we're supposed to be dispensing truth.
Right. If that's truth, I'm his uncle. Anyway, there you go.
When the numbers change, then the truth will change. Just the way it is.
The strike in Dubai involving 160 military in a hotel. Seemingly over 40 were killed in that one strike itself. That's from Chris.
I have absolutely no doubt you're absolutely correct, Chris. But until their families are told and the numbers are issued by the Pentagon.
So what they're doing is they're not telling their families. And the families have started phoning and go, Earl John's supposed to have rang us last week. I'm not going to call it.
David, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they need time to tell the families, and then the Pentagon will let the figures out. As of the last, when I looked this morning, the figure was 7 for the Pentagon. Nathan's telling us it's now 8. If there was a 50 or 150 killed the other day, they might not be in the official figures yet.
The way I look at it is that for Rubio, Hegseth, and for Trump, they're going, for goodness sake, don't have any coffins turning up with women covered in stars and stripes, because that plays bad in front of the American public.
Right, folks, before we go, because I've got to go to work, as you know, but I'm going to put this one up a wee second. Don't believe MSN lies. Correct. Absolutely correct to Roy, but I didn't take it for the mainstream media. I went to look to see what the Pentagon had to say. And that's where you go to the institution involved. You don't look at the papers, but institutions move a lot slower than the news cycle. That's the truth of it. So you could have 100 people killed one day, but it'll not be an official figure until the following week. You know, that's just the way it works, I'm afraid. So the official figure today started off as 7. Nathan's telling us it's 8. You guys is telling us there's hundreds to be added, which no doubt there will be. It's a war, it's a conflict. You know, but the official figures at this point in time, according to Nathan, are now 8. If you guys are right about 40 dying in a hotel in Dubai, by the next official statement, they will probably be added. You know, it's just the way these things work.
Anyway, now we've had David outline the official line. There's been hundreds of Americans killed. And if what he says is true, then all we're going to do is wait for a week, let's say. So a week from today.
Oh, we're quicker than that, David. But identities are going. I mean, you're talking about exposing the hotel. First, you got to dig them out, identify them. You'll know who was in there. You'll know who's come out. But you still need to dig them out, identify them, and tell their families.
Okay.
You know, and the figures will be issued when they're issued. Right, guys, that's it for the day. I hope you found it interesting. We hope you found it informative. David was right on form today with a rant of his own. But
bad timing, though.
Aye, bad timing, but you'll get the rhythm right, David. You'll get the rhythm right. You will.
End of the war in Iran.
For me, go to work, get that bastard.
Fight for independence, independence, independence. Because I'll tell you what, see, if you want to continue this nonsense, stay attached to the United Kingdom. They will do all sorts to you, I assure you. And then
I've
also,
got advice for
what we're
people.
going to do is we've got to say, what else, David?
I've got advice from some people. We're no staying with the United Kingdom. Get your eyes on the prize, because I want to gear us up eventually, for fuck's sake. All right.
I don't. I'll be there blowing, fighting the councils, getting rid of them.
I will.
And King Big Ears, you'll be on my blowing hit list.
I'll be pottering about my tiny wee garden trying
Well,
to
if
get
we're in
after 20 years of neglect.
Yeah,
All right.
know about the
Eyes on the prize. The prize is the election 2026 here in Scotland. Shoulders to the wheel, and let's get it done. Bye for now, folks.
Hi, guys.